Are you all deaf or just useless? Mr. Grant's voice cut through the boardroom like a blade. The millionaire CEO slammed his hand against the glass table, sending a pen clattering to the floor. Around him, his employees froze, faces pale, breaths shallow. Emily's fingers trembled as she gathered her notes. Sir, we only need a few more hours to... A few more hours, Grant sneered. You've had weeks. Maybe I should start hiring people who can think. His laughter was sharp and cold, echoing against the walls like broken glass. Near the end of the table, a young intern named Ethan sat silent, clutching his pen so tightly it left marks on his skin. He had dreamed of working here, of learning from a leader who inspired respect. But the man standing before him was no leader. He was a tyrant wrapped in a suit worth more than Ethan's rent for a year. Grant leaned closer to Emily, his tone dropping to a venomous whisper. And you maybe next time try failing in private. A heavy silence followed. Ethan's heart pounded in his chest. He looked around the room. No one dared move, no one dared speak. And that was the moment he realized something no one else had the courage to see. The man everyone feared had just shown his weakest side, and Ethan was about to capture it all. Before we begin this emotional story, tell us in the comments from which city you are watching, and don't forget to leave your like to keep following us. The conference room was drowning in silence, except for the sound of glass tapping against the mahogany table. Mr. Grant, the millionaire CEO of Holden Dynamics, leaned forward, his jaw tight, his sapphire tie glinting under the fluorescent light. "Does anyone here," he said slowly, his voice sharp as a blade, "know what incompetence looks like because I'm staring at it?" His gaze sliced through the team seated before him, each of them shrinking further into their chairs. Emily adjusted her pen, pretending to jot something down, but her trembling hand betrayed her. Jack, the marketing lead, cleared his throat to speak, but Grant's hand shot up, silencing him before a word escaped. "Not a single one of you understands what it takes to run a company worth billions," Grant continued, pacing now, his polished shoes echoing like gunshots. "I didn't build this empire for lazy, fearful minds." In the far corner sat a quiet figure, Ethan, the intern. Barely 22, nervous but observant, he watched as Grant's anger filled the room like poison. Ethan had started only 2 weeks earlier, invisible to most of them, yet today his chest burned. He had seen the late nights, the exhaustion in their eyes, and the way Grant's tirades crushed everyone's spirit. Grant stopped abruptly and slammed a folder onto the table, making Emily flinch. 3 missed deadlines, 2 lost clients, and now a PR disaster, he barked. "Maybe I should just replace you all with machines. They'd probably have more initiative." The room went cold. Nobody breathed. Ethan's phone buzzed in his pocket. A message from his mother. "Hope your first real job is going well, honey. Remember, stay humble." He looked up at Grant, the man who had everything but humility, and something inside him shifted. He discreetly opened his phone's camera, resting it face down on the table. The red recording light blinked faintly against the polished surface. Grant walked behind Jack, leaning close enough for his words to sting. "Do you think being here makes you special? You're just another replaceable salary, Jack." Then, with a smirk, he added, "And maybe next time, try thinking before embarrassing my company in front of investors." No one moved. The air reeked of tension and expensive cologne. Ethan's heart pounded as he captured every word, every cruel tone. He didn't know yet what he'd do with the footage, but deep down, he knew it was the beginning of something bigger. When the meeting finally ended, Grant straightened his suit, exhaled sharply, and barked, "Get out, all of you." Chairs scraped, papers rustled, and the defeated employees filed out. But Ethan stayed behind for a second, pretending to gather his notes. Grant didn't even notice him, he never did. Outside the glass wall, Emily wiped her eyes. She looked at Ethan briefly, whispering, "Don't let him see you care." He nodded, his phone still recording in his hand. And as Grant made a call to his private driver, laughing arrogantly about cleaning up the mess, Ethan hit stop on the video, his fingers trembling with both fear and purpose. What he didn't know yet was that this recording would soon turn the entire company upside down and destroy the man who thought he was untouchable. The hallway outside the conference room glowed with a sterile, corporate brightness, Manhattan nights pressed against the glass like a dark ocean. Ethan kept his head low as people drifted away in silence, shoulders sagging, breath held. Emily moved toward the break room, clutching a folder to her chest. He followed, not to pry, but because something in her unsteady steps made him feel like leaving her alone would be another small cruelty in a building full of them. Inside, the fridge hummed and the coffee machine sputtered to life with a mechanical sigh. Emily took a paper cup but didn't drink. She stared at the steam until it disappeared, then whispered, "He's going to lay off 10 people this week. Blame it on the numbers." Her hand trembled as she tucked her loose hair behind her ear. "And the numbers," she added, voice brittle, "aren't the problem." Ethan felt a heat rise in his face. "I recorded him," he said quietly, glancing toward the door. The whole thing. He expected shock, maybe fear. Instead, Emily let out a tiny, humorless laugh. "Sweetheart," she murmured. "That's how he talks every Tuesday." Her eyes lifted to his. "What matters is what he does when no one's looking." The door swung open. Olivia, the overnight cleaning lady, stepped in with a gentle nod, a cart rolling softly behind her. Her uniform sleeves were carefully hemmed as if done by hand. She carried herself with the cautious grace of someone who tries not to take up space. "Evening," she said, setting down a small trash bag. "Don't mind me." Grant's voice boomed from the corridor. "If I see another fingerprint on the boardroom glass, someone's getting replaced." The words snapped like a whip despite the wall between them. Olivia's eyes flinched, then smoothed over, as if years of practice had taught her to erase reactions. Ethan watched her place the bag into the bin with slow precision, a quiet dignity in every movement. Emily lowered her voice. "He makes security erase footage. HR won't help. The board likes their stock price steady. If you go at him, you'll get crushed." She tapped the folder. "He hides real losses in subsidiaries, buries them until contracts mask the dip. Someone signs, revenue spikes on paper, and he calls himself a genius." "Do you have proof?" Ethan asked. "Bits," she said. "Threads. If tugged hard enough, the whole suit might come apart." Footsteps neared. Olivia stepped back from the doorway just as Mr. Grant appeared, phone pressed to his ear, gaze slicing through the room. He stopped when he saw the cart. "You again?" He gestured at a smudge on his cuff as if she'd put it there by looking. "Try cleaning like you mean it. This isn't a motel off I-95. Olivia's jaw tightened, barely. She nodded without a word. Ethan felt his fists clench. Emily stared at the cup, knuckles white. Grant adjusted his tie and strode away, his voice rising into laughter as he addressed whoever was on the other end. After he disappeared, Olivia exhaled. "Don't worry," she said gently to Ethan, noticing his fury. "Men like that eventually meet a flaw they can't polish." She started to leave, then hesitated. "If you're in trouble, there's a camera the boss forgot exists. Old system near the west stairwell. Not IT, maintenance." She looked at Emily. "I've seen him there after midnight, talking to someone who never takes the elevator." Ethan felt the air shift. "Why are you telling me this?" Olivia's eyes softened. "Because I clean what other people drop," she said, "and sometimes what falls is the truth." She gave him a small, conspiratorial nod and pushed her cart away, wheels whispering over tile. Emily snapped her folder shut. "West stairs," she said, her voice steadying. "If there's anything left on that feed, it could be our thread." A ping lit Ethan's phone. Unknown number. Check the old server room. Basement. Midnight. He looked up at the ceiling as if the building itself had texted him. The hum of the lights grew louder. Above, in a glass office, the millionaire CEO leaned back in his chair, watching the city. Below, somewhere in the belly of Halden Dynamics, a secret hummed in the dark, waiting to be found. And at 11:59 p.m., Ethan slipped his badge into the elevator slot and pressed B1, the doors sliding shut on a breath he couldn't quite finish. The elevator doors slid open with a mechanical sigh, spilling dim light into the basement corridor. Ethan stepped out, the air cool and dry, smelling faintly of dust and metal polish. The hum of old ventilation filled the silence. The walls were lined with storage cabinets and obsolete equipment, remnants of a time when the company was smaller, hungrier, more human. He checked his phone. 12:01 a.m. The message had said midnight. Whoever sent it was either gone or watching. The old server room was at the far end. The glass door had been painted over in black and the sign still read, "Network Control, Restricted Access." Ethan swiped his intern badge. Nothing. The red light blinked, denying him entry. He hesitated, then spotted a faint glow beneath the door. Someone was inside. A creak echoed behind him. "You shouldn't be here." Ethan spun around. Olivia stood in the hallway, her cleaning cart parked a few feet away. Her uniform jacket was off, sleeves rolled to her elbows. "How did you—" She raised a hand to silence him. "I told you this place holds what others forget, but you don't open doors unless you're ready for what's behind them." Ethan glanced back at the blackened glass. "Did you send the message?" "No," she said softly, "but whoever did wants him gone." She stepped closer, lowering her voice. "I've seen Mr. Grant down here. He meets someone, a man in a grey suit, leaves with envelopes. Cash sometimes. Other times just USB drives." He frowned. "You think he's laundering money?" "I think he's afraid of something," she said. "And men like him don't fear easily." Ethan's phone buzzed again. Another text from the same unknown number. Doors unlocked now. He turned. The red light on the reader flicked green. The click of the latch echoed like a heartbeat. Olivia exhaled slowly. "Be quick," she whispered. "If security catches you here, they won't ask questions." Inside, the server room was a time capsule. Rows of silent machines stood like tombstones coated in fine dust. A single monitor glowed faintly at the far end, humming with static. Ethan approached, heartbeat thudding in his ears. A folder blinked on the desktop. "Q3 Adjustments Confidential." He opened it. Dozens of spreadsheets appeared, then scanned invoices, then something else, videos, each labeled by date. One file name caught his eye. Boardroom Recording 1102 MP4. He double-clicked. The footage showed Grant in the same conference room, but not during work hours. He was laughing with two men in suits, glasses of whiskey on the table. "It's all handled," Grant said in the video. "We shift the loss to Meridian Holdings, they take the fall, and we push the merger before anyone audits." The man across from him nodded. "And your team?" "They'll be too busy fighting each other," Grant smirked. "I make them believe they're incompetent. Fear keeps them quiet." Ethan's chest tightened. It wasn't just arrogance, it was manipulation, deliberate and cruel. He copied the files to a flash drive, the progress bar crawling painfully slow. Outside, Olivia kept watch, her eyes scanning the hallway. A distant elevator dinged. Voices echoed. "Security." "He's still here," one said. Camera picked movement. Ethan unplugged the drive just as the lights flickered. "Go," Olivia hissed, motioning him toward the side exit. They moved quickly, footsteps muffled by the concrete floor. The beam of a flashlight cut across the hallway behind them. They reached a service door. Olivia swiped a keycard from her pocket. It wasn't company-issued, older, scratched. The lock clicked. "This way." As they slipped out into the cold night behind the building, Ethan turned to her, breath clouding in the air. "Why are you helping me?" Olivia looked up at the skyscraper, the CEO's penthouse light glowing faintly above. "Because once," she said quietly, "he ruined someone I loved, and I swore if I ever had a chance to make him face the truth, I would." A gust of wind rustled through the alley. Ethan clutched the flash drive in his fist, feeling its weight like destiny. Above them, in his glass fortress, Grant poured himself another drink, unaware that his empire had just started to crack. Morning sunlight spilled across the Manhattan skyline, gold bleeding into glass. In the top-floor office of Holden Dynamics, Mr. Grant stood before the window, hands clasped behind his back. His reflection stared back at him, sharp suit, sharper smile. Behind him, the city looked small, obedient, just the way he liked it. A soft knock interrupted the silence. "Come in," he said. Emily entered, clutching a folder against her chest. Her voice trembled slightly. "You wanted to see me, Mr. Grant?" Grant turned slowly. "Yes." "Sit." He motioned to the leather chair opposite his desk. She hesitated, but obeyed. The faint scent of cologne hung heavy in the air, mixed with the bitter aroma of his untouched coffee. "I've been reviewing last quarter's numbers," he said, flipping through a document that wasn't really in front of him. "You're aware we're underperforming in marketing?" Emily nodded carefully. "We're rebuilding after the client losses." He cut her off with a wave. "Spare me the excuses. I've been patient, but patience is expensive. You know what isn't?" His eyes narrowed. "Replacement." She gripped the folder tighter. "Mr. Grant, my team is working overtime." "Overtime doesn't mean results," he snapped. He leaned forward, lowering his voice to a smooth, venomous tone. "You're a good worker, Emily, smart. But maybe you've forgotten who gave you this job after your last company collapsed. You owe me." Her lips parted. The words caught in her throat. She knew he wasn't just talking about work. Everyone knew what Grant implied when he cornered someone alone. The office felt smaller, the glass walls closing in. The intercom buzzed. "Mr. Grant, Ethan from the internship program is here to see you," his assistant said. Grant's smirk flickered briefly before settling back into place. "Send him in." Ethan entered, trying to mask the tremor in his hands. The flash drive sat hidden inside his pocket, pressing like a heartbeat against his leg. "But you asked for me, sir." Grant gestured for him to stay standing. "Yes, I did. You've been busy, haven't you?" His tone was casual, almost amused. "Sneaking around basements, accessing restricted files, meeting my cleaning staff after hours." Ethan froze. Emily's eyes widened. Grant chuckled softly. "You didn't think I built an empire without knowing who moves inside my walls, did you?" He walked around the desk, his voice dropping lower. "You're clever, boy. Brave, even. But bravery is dangerous in business." He tapped his tablet, and the screen on the wall lit up, a security feed showing Ethan and Olivia in the basement hallway. "See? Cameras see everything, even the ones you think are broken." Ethan's heart slammed against his ribs. Grant circled him like a predator. "Tell me," he said, "did you really think an intern could outsmart a millionaire CEO?" Emily stood abruptly. "Sir, please. He didn't mean—" Grant silenced her with a glare. "Sit down." Ethan forced himself to meet Grant's eyes. "I didn't steal anything, I just wanted the truth." Grant laughed. "Truth?" He leaned closer, his breath hot with whiskey. "The truth is what I say it is." He pressed a button on his desk, and security guards entered the room. 2 tall men in dark suits. "Escort our little hero out," Grant ordered, "and make sure his badge doesn't open anything ever again." Emily's voice cracked. "How you can't do that? He's just a kid." "Then he'll learn what happens to children who play with fire," Grant said coldly. As the guards grabbed Ethan's arms, Grant whispered near his ear, "You record me. You disappear. Quietly." The elevator doors closed on Ethan's stunned face. Emily stood motionless, tears burning behind her eyes. Grant turned back to the window, the city still glittering below him, as if nothing had happened. But on Ethan's way out, as the guards walked him through the lobby, he caught sight of Olivia near the marble column. She didn't speak, just slipped something small into his hand as he passed. When he opened his palm, it wasn't his phone or his ID. It was a tiny SD card. On it, a label written in neat handwriting. He forgot this camera too. Rain streaked down the glass of Ethan's small apartment window, turning the city outside into a blur of light and shadow. He sat at his desk, soaked from the storm, the tiny SD card trembling between his fingers. His laptop hummed faintly, waiting. He hesitated for a long moment before sliding the card into the reader. A single folder appeared. Security footage. West Hall camera, 10:28. His breath caught. The same day Grant had announced the layoffs. He clicked play. The footage was grainy but clear enough. Grant appeared in frame, wearing his tailored grey suit, pacing in front of the camera near the stairwell. Another man joined him, bald, heavy-set, wearing a visitor badge. They spoke in low voices. Ethan turned the volume up. "Don't want this traced back to me," Grant said. "You get the contract signed, I'll move the assets. The board thinks it's a reallocation." "And the missing funds?" the other man asked. Grant smiled, cold, deliberate. "They'll vanish into a shell company under your name, just for a few months, then we dissolve it. Simple." The man looked uneasy. "You're playing with fire." Grant leaned closer to him, voice almost a whisper. "That's what makes me rich." The video ended with Grant handing over an envelope, thick, unmarked. Ethan sat back, running a hand through his damp hair. His chest ached with fury and disbelief. It wasn't just fraud. It was deliberate deception at the highest level. He scrolled through the timestamps. Weeks of footage. Dozens of secret meetings. A knock at his door snapped him upright. "Ethan, it's me." Emily's voice came from the other side. He rushed to open it. She stepped in, her coat dripping rainwater onto the floor, eyes wide with fear. "They're deleting files," she said, breathless. "He found out someone accessed the old system. It's wiping everything clean tonight." Ethan pointed to the screen. "I already saved this, but it's not enough. We need something undeniable." Emily closed her eyes for a moment. "There is something. The annual audit draft. The one that never made it to the board." She pulled a small flash drive from her pocket. "I made a copy before he destroyed it. It shows where the money disappeared." "Then that's it," Ethan said. "We take this to the board." Emily hesitated. "They won't believe us. Not without public pressure. He owns their silence." A new voice spoke from the shadows. "Then make the world see." Olivia stood in the doorway, umbrella dripping. Her eyes carried that same quiet strength. "You have truth, but truth in darkness dies unheard." "Send it where no one can bury it." Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" "I mean," she said, stepping forward, "upload it. Show them what he really is. Don't wait for permission from men who already sold theirs." Emily looked terrified. "If we go public, he'll destroy us." Olivia's expression didn't waver. "He already has. The only question is whether you let him finish." Ethan turned to his laptop again. His hand hovered over the keyboard. "Once it's out there, there's no going back." Olivia's gaze softened. "Good, because some roads aren't meant to return." He clicked upload. The screen filled with a progress bar crawling upward, each percent a pulse of rebellion. Outside, thunder cracked through the city like a warning. When it hit 100%, Ethan closed the laptop. For the first time in weeks, he exhaled without shaking. Across town, in his penthouse suite, Mr. Grant's phone buzzed. He picked it up, then froze. Every major business channel was streaming the same video. The CEO of Holden Dynamics caught in an illegal scheme. The empire he had built on arrogance and fear had just gone up in flames. By dawn, Manhattan was already buzzing. But inside Holden Dynamics, the air felt different. Whispers moved faster than emails. Phones rang non-stop. Screens across the building showed the same headline: "Millionaire CEO exposed in corporate fraud scandal." Grant arrived in his black car, jaw clenched, sunglasses hiding the fury burning behind his eyes. As he entered the lobby, people stopped talking. The usual murmured greetings vanished. Even the security guard who once rushed to open the doors now looked away. "Good morning, Mr. Grant," his assistant said softly, eyes glued to the floor. "Get legal on the line," he barked, storming toward the elevator. "And tell PR to prepare a statement denying everything." "Yes, sir," she muttered, but didn't move. When the doors closed, Grant slammed his fist against the wall. "They think they can humiliate me." His reflection stared back, polished, powerful, desperate. "This company is me." On the 30th floor, chaos reigned. Employees clustered in corners, scrolling through news sites, watching clips of his hidden deals playing on loop. The once untouchable CEO was now a viral villain. In his office, Grant paced as his lawyer's voice cracked through the phone speaker. "The SEC is already moving in. Someone leaked more than one video. You need to stay quiet, Grant. Don't make it worse." "Quiet?" Grant snapped. "They're tearing me apart. Who sent it? It, HR, find out!" He slammed the phone down and looked out the window. Across the street, reporters gathered near the entrance. Cameras, microphones, headlines waiting to feast on his downfall. Then came the sound he dreaded most, a knock. Emily stood in the doorway, not timid this time, her chin lifted, voice steady. "The board wants to see you." Grant glared. "They can wait." "They're already in the conference room," she said, "and they brought federal agents." For a moment he froze. The words hit like a gunshot. He straightened his tie, forced a smirk, and walked past her. "Let's see what they think they know." The elevator ride felt endless. Each floor number blinked like a countdown. When the doors opened, the boardroom was filled, executives, legal counsel, 2 agents in dark suits. The same room where he had once humiliated everyone now felt like a tribunal. "Mr. Grant," the chairman said, his tone stripped of the old reverence, "we've reviewed the evidence, the contracts, the recordings, the transfers. You've compromised this company's integrity." Grant laughed coldly. "Integrity? Don't pretend you didn't profit from every lie I told." The chairman didn't flinch. "You're relieved of your position effective immediately." He gestured toward the agents. "You'll need to come with them." Grant's smirk faded. "You can't do this." An agent stepped forward. "Sir, you're under investigation for fraud and embezzlement. Please stand." Grant's mind spun. "This is a setup," he shouted. "Someone planted that footage." Emily spoke quietly from the corner. "No one planted anything. You just finally got seen." Grant turned to her, disbelief twisting his face. "You?" She met his gaze. "Not just me." From behind the agents, the door opened, and Ethan stepped in. No longer trembling, no longer the invisible intern. Olivia was beside him, dressed in her faded uniform, her expression calm but resolute. For the first time, Grant looked uncertain. "You?" he whispered. "A janitor and a kid?" Olivia's eyes met his. "Funny," she said softly. "How built an empire and forgot who keeps it clean." Security escorted him out, cameras flashing through the hallway windows. His once commanding stride now looked heavy, uneven. Down below, reporters swarmed. His empire had crumbled not from competitors, but from the truth he had buried under his own arrogance. As the elevator doors closed on him for the last time, the reflection staring back was no longer a king, just a man stripped of his illusion. The morning after the arrest, Holden Dynamics felt hollow. Desks were abandoned, half-empty coffee cups left behind, computer screens frozen on breaking news headlines. The building that once pulsed with fear now echoed with disbelief. Ethan stood in the lobby staring up at the company logo. The gold letters gleamed like nothing had happened, but to him they looked different now. Duller, honest even. Emily approached carrying a box of her things. "HR's letting people leave early," she said softly. "They're scared of what comes next." He nodded. "Do they know who leaked it?" She gave a faint smile. "Everyone knows. They just don't say it out loud." Across the lobby, Olivia polished the marble floor. Same uniform, same calm rhythm, but there was something new in her face. Peace, freedom. People nodded to her now when they passed. Small gestures, overdue ones. Ethan walked over. "You could stop cleaning, you know. They'd hire you for anything after what you did." Olivia's hands paused on the mop handle. "Maybe," she said, smiling faintly, "but I like finishing what I start." She looked around the shining floor. This place was built on pride and lies. It's good to wash some of that away. He nodded, watching her reflection ripple in the wet marble. "The news says Grant's denying everything." "Let him," Olivia replied. "Truth doesn't need his permission to exist." Emily joined them, setting her box down. "The board asked me to stay. They want someone trustworthy to help rebuild." Ethan smiled. "That's perfect. You deserve it." She looked down. "They offered you a permanent position too. Communications." He blinked. "Seriously?" "Seriously," she said, handing him a letter. "Seems they realized interns see more than executives." He took it, laughing quietly, though there was a heaviness behind it. "Feels strange, like we won, but I don't know." Olivia looked at him gently. "Because winning doesn't erase what was lost." For a moment, none of them spoke. Rain tapped softly on the glass walls, the city humming beyond. Somewhere out there, Grant's empire was being dismantled. Banks freezing accounts, reporters dissecting numbers, lawyers scrambling to survive the wreckage. Ethan pulled the flash drive from his pocket and placed it on the front desk. "Keep this," he said to Emily. "If the truth ever gets buried again, dig it back up." She nodded. "I will." Olivia wheeled her cart toward the exit. Before leaving, she turned back. "You both have something he never did," she said. "Conscience. Don't lose it just because you won." The glass doors slid open, letting in a gust of cool air. She stepped into the street, umbrella rising like a quiet banner. Ethan watched her disappear into the crowd, her figure small but unmistakably strong. He turned to Emily. "Do you ever think about what happens to people like him, after everything?" Emily's gaze lingered on the window. "Maybe the worst punishment," she said, "is finally having to look in the mirror and see yourself without power." Outside, the city kept moving. Cars honked, people hurried to work, the world already shifting past yesterday's scandal. But inside that glass tower, something fundamental had changed. The air was lighter, freer, like everyone could finally breathe again. Ethan picked up his bag, ready to leave the building for good. But as he walked through the lobby, he saw his reflection in the polished floor, a young man who once trembled before power, now standing tall. And for the first time, he didn't feel small. The federal holding facility was nothing like the skyline Mr. Grant used to rule from. Concrete walls, steel doors, fluorescent lights that buzzed instead of shimmered. No marble floors, no city views, just the slow drip of a leaky pipe and the echo of his own thoughts. He sat at the edge of a metal cot, staring at his reflection in the scratched mirror above the sink. The tailored suits were gone, the silk ties, the gold watch, the perfectly styled hair, all replaced by a grey uniform and silence. For the first time in his life, he looked ordinary, forgettable. His lawyer's voice broke through the quiet. "They're offering a deal," she said, sliding papers through the slot. "Cooperate, return the funds, and they'll reduce the sentence. Maybe 3 years if you behave." Grant didn't answer. He just kept staring. The image in the mirror didn't look back like it used to. It judged him. "You built an empire, Mr. Grant," the lawyer continued carefully. "You can still save some of it." He finally spoke, his voice rough. "There's nothing left to save." She hesitated, unsure whether he meant the company or himself. When she left, he sat in silence, listening to the guards chatting down the hall. Their laughter was casual, human, something he hadn't heard in his office in years. He remembered the faces of the people he'd crushed. Emily flinching at his voice, Jack shrinking at every insult, Ethan trembling under the weight of fear. He had thought fear was leadership. Now he saw it for what it was: rot. Hours passed. The sky outside turned the color of steel. Grant rubbed his temples, his thoughts circling the same question. How did I become this? The next day, a visitor came. The guard opened the door, and there she was, Olivia. Still in her uniform, though she'd pinned a small gold cross to the collar. Grant's jaw tightened. "You?" She stepped forward slowly, eyes calm. "Me?" he scoffed. "Come to gloat?" "No," she said. "I came to see if there's anything left of the man who ruined my husband's life." Grant's expression faltered. "Your husband?" She nodded. "Daniel Ruiz, your accounting manager 4 years ago. You blamed him for your mistake, fired him, blacklisted him. He couldn't get another job. He drank until his heart gave out." Grant swallowed hard, the memory resurfacing like a ghost he thought buried. "I didn't know he—" "You didn't care," she interrupted, her voice trembling but steady. "But I did. And every night I cleaned your floor, I told myself that someday you'd face what you'd done." He looked at her, truly looked, for the first time. There was no anger in her face anymore, only truth. It cut deeper than hatred. "I can't undo it," he said quietly. "No," Olivia replied, "but you can stop pretending you were ever above anyone. That's where redemption starts." She placed something on the table, a folded photograph of Daniel, smiling beside her, and a little girl. "That's who you forgot," she said softly. "A man who believed in you." She turned to leave. Grant's hand trembled as he touched the photo. For the first time, tears stung his eyes. Not for the empire he lost, but for the man he'd never been. As the door closed behind Olivia, Grant sat alone, the hum of the light above him steady, unforgiving. He finally whispered into the empty room, "I remember his name." And for that small moment, the weight of truth, the same truth that destroyed him, felt almost merciful. Weeks passed. The world had moved on to new scandals, new headlines, but for those who had lived through the storm inside Holden Dynamics, the echoes remained. Ethan sat in a quiet coffee shop in Brooklyn, laptop open but untouched. He watched people rush by through the fogged glass, ordinary people with ordinary lives. The kind he once envied, before power and deceit became part of his daily air. A notification blinked on his screen. Breaking. Former CEO of Holden Dynamics pleads guilty. He clicked it. The video showed Grant standing in court, wearing the same grey uniform from the facility. No arrogance left. His voice was low, almost hoarse, as he said the words the world never expected from him. "I accept responsibility for my actions." The judge's gavel fell. 6 years. Not just for fraud, but for obstruction, coercion, and corporate misconduct. Ethan exhaled slowly. Justice had a sound. It wasn't thunderous. It was quiet, steady, final. When he closed the laptop, Emily was already sitting across from him. "You saw?" she asked. He nodded. "Yeah, I thought I'd feel happy, but I don't." She smiled gently. "Because real justice isn't about revenge. It's about ending something." They sipped their coffee in silence. The city's noise softened outside. Honking cars, snippets of laughter, a street performer's guitar echoing faintly. "I keep thinking about Olivia," Ethan said. "She hasn't been back to the building since that day." "She doesn't need to," Emily said. "Her story's already written there." At that moment, the cafe door opened, and as if summoned by memory, Olivia stepped inside. No uniform this time, just a long coat and a small satchel over her shoulder. She looked freer, lighter, but her eyes still carried that quiet depth. "Mind if I join you two?" she asked, smiling. Ethan stood instantly. "Always." She sat, hands wrapped around a steaming mug. "You both look different," she said. "Less scared. That's good." Emily chuckled softly. "Guess we finally learned to breathe." Olivia nodded. "You learned something he never did, how to stand without stepping on others." They sat there for a while. No cameras, no headlines, no audience. Just 3 people bound by a story that had broken them open and somehow rebuilt them. Ethan leaned forward. "Do you ever think people like him can really change?" Olivia's gaze drifted toward the window, the winter light tracing soft lines across her face. "Change," she said. "Maybe not all the way, but regret is the beginning of something close. Sometimes that's enough." Emily looked at her. "Did you ever forgive him?" Olivia took a slow sip, considering the question. "I stopped hating him, that's different. Hate keeps you where they left you. Forgiveness lets you walk away." The 3 of them sat in that truth for a long, gentle moment. Outside, the snow began to fall, slow, almost hesitant, like the city itself was learning to quiet down. Ethan pulled something from his bag, a folded printout of the first article that exposed Grant. Across the headline, someone had scribbled a quote in pen. "When power becomes cruelty, truth becomes rebellion." He placed it on the table, smiling faintly. "Guess rebellion worked." Olivia smiled back. "No," she said softly. "Decency did." The bell above the door rang as a gust of cold air swept in, and for the first time in months all 3 of them laughed. Light, unguarded, real. Sometimes redemption wasn't about rebuilding an empire. It was about remembering the human hearts crushed beneath one. Spring unfolded softly over New York. The glass towers glimmered in the morning light. But this time, the reflection in those windows told a different story. One of humility instead of hunger, of rebuilding instead of ruling. Ethan stood in front of the newly redesigned Holden Dynamics building. The logo was no longer gold, no longer meant to intimidate. It was simple, silver and unpretentious, like the people inside. He took a deep breath, the air crisp and full of possibility. Emily joined him, holding a stack of papers against her chest. "The new board approved everything," she said. "Transparency policies, employee voting rights, equal pay for maintenance staff. It's finally real." Ethan smiled. "You turned a company that once ran on fear into one that breathes honesty." She shrugged, a small, proud smile crossing her face. "We all did." Inside the lobby, Olivia stood beside her cleaning cart, though it wasn't really hers anymore. A fresh logo read Ruiz and Comas, Cleaning and Restoration Services. Her name was on the paperwork now, her business the first official partner of the reborn company. She looked up as they entered. "Morning," she said, her voice warm, steady. Ethan's eyes softened. Daniel would have been proud, Olivia. Her expression flickered with emotion. I think he'd just be glad the truth finally got cleaned up. The 3 of them stood together side by side, looking at the reflection of the building's new sign through the glass doors. Once, it had represented greed. Now, It represented people, real ones. Olivia adjusted her gloves and said quietly, "You know, when I started here, I thought cleaning floors was the smallest job in the world. Turns out, it's the only one that ever made something shine again." They laughed, softly, genuinely, like survivors who had found light after the wreckage. Outside, the city buzzed as usual, horns, footsteps, laughter, life. But inside, something had shifted forever. Ethan took one last look around. "Funny how truth ruins the wrong people but saves the right ones," Emily nodded. "Because truth doesn't ruin, it rebuilds." The automatic doors opened, sunlight spilling in. They walked out together, three souls tied not by tragedy anymore, but by transformation. Because in the end, what began as humiliation became healing. What started with cruelty ended in conscience. And what once stood as a monument to arrogance now stood as proof that dignity never disappears. It just waits to be seen again. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this heart-touching story. Tell us in the comments which part moved you the most. Subscribe and turn on the bell to receive more stories that inspire and transform. Leave a like if you believe in the invisible strength of dignity and family. And above all, thank you for being part of this community that believes in stories with soul. And before you go, watch the story I leave here on the left. I'm sure it will also move you and make you reflect.